Oh! Oh, hello.
Snowpiercer just aired its last 2 episodes of the season back to back. Let's talk about the ending and what could the second season have in store for us. Obviously, spoilers ahead as we break down the series finale. Thank you for clicking this. Let's jump into our ending explained before any delay. In the episode 9 leading to the season finale, we see that governing is not that easy. And yes, you can judge from the sidelines, but once you get into the position of power, you find yourself in a grave predicament. As Leighton figures it out when he sees that his own people are turning into what they rebelled against. Character of Melanie has been a very complex one from the beginning, as she opposed the ideas of how Wilford was ruling the train, but also didn't fully agree with the revolution. So the episode tells us that everyone thinks they know the best, but once you get inside, there is no breaking the wheel. You actually end up relying on that same wheel to rule. Melanie describes that train demanded blood, and this tells us that rule of law is something of building blocks on which civilizations are built. If there is no possibility of punishment, that leads to chaos. And yes, where I might agree that punishments were severe, but so are the circumstances. As we see at the end of episode 9, where Leighton has to sacrifice the whole prison carriage for the good of the others, which actually makes you think that are these good guys or just another face of tyranny who just cries a lot when he commits murder. Melanie gets rescued by Jinju as she knows that Melanie actually understands that how the train should be run, unlike Leighton. Because something this big to run, you need hierarchy and workforce, otherwise everything falls apart. At the end of this episode, we see how the finale could be as they repaired the radio, and we actually hear that there is another train out there with Wilford on board. On the side note, in the comics there is not one, not two, but several trains out there moving around the world. So Melanie gets back in good graces with Leighton and tells him how he can defeat the army. And he does so by uncoupling the train where he had to sacrifice a lot of his friends. And then he is appointed in charge. Leighton finally tells his people that the train is theirs as the train passes Chicago, marking the 1-year anniversary that they've been on the train. Now all the rebels are roaming through the first class of train, and LJ goes to her room and finds a lot of them enjoying there. She seems a bit infringed as she was instrumental in the success of this revolution. And I think LJ might have a very big role to play in the season 2, as she might try to gain the power again, because it certainly didn't turn out the way she expected. We jump to a bit of flashback with Melanie and her regret of leaving her daughter behind on the second train with Wilford. So of course the ending part is that we know that Wilford is being played by Sean Bean, and the second train, Alice, is a supply train moving around the globe, as this tells us that Wilford wanted to have control over the supplies. If something goes wrong with one of the train and his train has all the spare parts, in that case he has control over everything. And I guess he was right to be paranoid, as something did go wrong in the name of revolution. So Wilford finally catches up with the Snowpiercer and clamps onto it as W turns to M, which shows us that Melanie has much more significant part to play than we thought. And then we see Melanie's daughter as she boards the train. Before that, Melanie said that she will not go back to be under Wilford's rule again. Later on, we see that Melanie falls off the train and she survives because of that hazmat suit, so we might be seeing her again in season 2. As in the beginning, Melanie said that she left Wilford behind and didn't actually kill him, which means that Wilford might have survived the same way as Melanie just did. A lot of people are saying that this show might tie in with the movie, but I'm hoping that it doesn't, because one, that would ruin the continuity, and second, not everything has to be a big multi-film and show universe, as the season 2 is already in between production, so we might not see any delay on that part. Also in the second season, we might be seeing Melanie and Wilford's forces clashing with each other to take control. I for one am excited, as the show might take a bit more outer world into consideration than just being on the train. That was the ending of season 1 of Snowpiercer. I also have 5 differences between Snowpiercer movie and the show right here.